Welcome, everybody, to a scary night of scary stories told by your host, HSFL Paranormal. All right, let's figure this out here. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to be doing some scary stories. Not usually the night I go live and share these stories, so just waiting for the chroma cam thing to fix itself. Not 100% sure on what is going on right now, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. All right, just give it a quick minute here, guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Foxy, how's it going? Simple Joys, great to see you. Welcome. We have Carol out of her comfort zone. Tammy Burgess, the Rock Fam. We have "Twas the Doc and Scary Night, ... You're killing me, Smalls." Yeah, I don't know why this thing is going up here. It should have loaded by now. I hope I don't lose this. Okay, should have fixed itself now. Let's see. I'm gonna grab the pop-out chat here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. All right, pop-out chat here. Thank you so much, guys. Good day, everybody. We have Carol out of her comfort zone, Aussie Tiger Rockstar FAMZ. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope everybody's having a fantastic night so far. We are going to be sharing some really spooky stories. Holy smokes, it's been a while. How's it going? The Art of Reed. What is going on? Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Let's find out here. I need Chrome. I'm trying to stop the little advertisement that keeps scrolling up on the screen here. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. It should fix itself. Should have already fixed itself. All right. So, no, I'm still doing it. So, I don't know what is going on. I think what I need to do real quick is just do a real quick hop. There we go. Should fix itself now. Anyway. Hope the stream is running good. Hopefully everybody can see me. Here we go. Chroma cam is now up. Should load. I don't know why it's not, but all right. Scary bedtime stories. I'm in. Hey, how's it going, Molly Welch? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Christina and Son Ghost Squad is in the house. Welcome. Yeah, I know. It's just that little advertisement thing that keeps popping up. It's supposed to be taken off. I don't know. Chroma cam's having its sweet little moment tonight where the software is not registering that I actually have the paid version, which creates the green screen for me without having to have a green screen itself. Anyway, sadly, yes, we can see it. Thanks, Artery. But yes, Carol out of her comfort zone put some ghost emojis with some skull and crossbones. Heck yeah. All right, guys. So I've got some spooky stories for all of you. We have quite a few choices too. So this is going to be awesome. We can vote. We can choose out of 3 of which you would like to hear first. And go from there. There's The Dark and Lonely Road, The Antique Doll, or a story called Clap Clap. That sounds good. I hate it when I'm watching a live stream and I get a phone call. I hear you. Happens to me all the time. I'm just gonna shut that window down. Close that window. You pick. What? No. I can't stay. Mountain just behind us caught fire. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Take care. Oh, simple joys. Hopefully everything goes well. I'm so sorry that you're having a fire issue. Keep you in your prayers. Hey, Harry Potter. I mean, John, bro. Oh, Lord, that'll never end. All right. There we go. All right. And I want to. Oh, yes. Some people did send in some fan submissions, and now I got to go find those somewhere. Thank you, Sharpshooter, for sharing this out. I really appreciate it. Let me try to find where I know somebody had sent me an email with one of my stories, or one of the stories. So let me see if I can find this. God dang it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this. Somebody sent me a really good story, and now I'm upset because I can't find it. Well, I'll keep looking for it. I did have it queued to read at one point. I don't know if they sent it to my inbox. Hey, K-Dog, how's it going? Okay, let's just choose a scary story, and then I'll try to find the one that somebody submitted to me. Because it was actually a pretty awesome story. And I was reading it, and I was just like, wow, that actually happened to somebody? That's really creepy. So, why do you have 11 thumbs down? I don't know, probably because I'm getting trolled by somebody. And I could only guess who that might be. Well, I don't know who's doing it, but yeah, it's just a pesky troll. They happen. All right, and we'll do clap clap because this is a pretty spooky story. One day, a young married couple went hiking in the mountains. As the sun began to set, they realized that they were lost. The girlfriend was getting worried, but her husband tried to calm her down and assure her that they would eventually find her way back into their car. However, after walking for hours, they still had no idea where they were. It was growing dark, and the man and wife were getting desperate. They didn't want, or they didn't have a map or a compass with them, and all of the trees looked the same. When they were about to give up hope, they came across an old cabin in the clearing. The cabin looked like it had its better days. It was dilapidated and seemed like it hadn't been used in a long time. Some of the windows were cracked and broken, and the tiles of the roof had fallen off. The husband knocked on the door, but there was no response. When he turned the handle, it slowly creaked open. Inside, they found that it was in a bad state of repair. There was very little furniture, and the floor was covered in a thick layer of dust. As the couple continuously walked around, they noticed that strange atmosphere and a peculiar musky smell. Hawk the Fam, thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. The walls were covered from floor to floor, all the way to the ceiling, with graffiti. And written in paint were the words death, 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 death were repeated over and over again. The man and the woman were unnerved. With a shaking hand, and the husband reached out to touch the wall. He was horrified that the paint was not yet dry. The couple was very frightened, but they had nowhere else to go. They knew the mountain was dangerous at night and that there was a lot of wild animals prowling around in the woods. Desperate and creepy writings on the wall, they decided to stay for the night. Going upstairs, they found a moth-eaten mattress that was covered in stains, and the husband and wife wrapped themselves in an old piece of carpet to keep themselves warm, to make themselves as comfortable as possible under the circumstances. They laid down together on the mattress and eventually managed to fall asleep. Sometime after, the couple were awakened to strange rustling noises. It sounded like someone or something was lurking around the shack. "Did you hear that?" the wife said. "I think somebody's out there." The husband listened for a while, but he did not hear anything. He got out of bed and walked towards the window. It was dark. They didn't see anything. The opening in the window, he stuck his head out. "Who's there?" he called nervously. There was no answer. He was about to go to bed when his wife said, "Maybe there's someone who can't speak." The husband returned to the window and said, "Is anyone out there?" Clap once for yes, twice for no. He strained his ears to listen. The stars twinkled in the night sky. The crickets were chirping loudly. All of a sudden, they heard a loud. The man turned to his wife with surprise. "You're right. There's somebody out there." He leaned out the window and scanned his eyes across the darkness. He could not make anything out in the pitch black. "Are you the owner of the cabin?" "Are you the man? Are you a man?" "Are you a woman then?" "Are you human?" A chill ran down his spine. He swallowed and croaked. "Have you come here alone?" "How many people are with you?" Clap once for each person. And that's the end of the story. Paranormal Circle, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Got 19 people in the house. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for the 16 likes. I really appreciate it. We have 21 people now watching in the house. Thank you for that. That is awesome. Hey, Ray the Fam, how's it going? We got Missy Esquada. We have Christina and Son Ghost Squad. We have Molly Welch. We have Tabby Smith, Thinking of Others. We have Gina's Bizarro Ghosts. We have K-Dog. What's up, K-Dog? Are you available in Oregon on Halloween? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Oregon's kind of a long trip. This one is called The Old Man. Hey, Sharpshooter, how's it going, bro? Why is Elias Alonso blocked? Well, he sure as hell shouldn't be. I have a rogue mod or something deleting my like my normal supporters. I have no idea why this person is doing it, but if I find out who it is, they're no longer going to have their wrench. It's getting to the point where it's pissing me off, and I have like a bunch of my really devout people getting deleted off of my being not able to chat in my streams. They're showing up in my block section. So I've almost thought about just getting rid of like all my mods and not having anybody moderate, and I think that would find the situation because I'm getting sick of somebody deleting my moderators off my or my people off of the chat and putting in my block section. So let me find out real quick if Elias is in my community here. It's really getting under my skin. And only mods can block other than me. So let me figure this out. Yep. I saw Elias in my block section. I don't know who's doing this, but seriously, stop. Now I gotta find it again. All right, Elias, you should be allowed back. I'm looking for other people here who are. Okay, it looks like Elias was the only one, but Elias should be allowed back in now. Yes, somebody is blocking, going in like behind my back after the streams. Somebody who's a moderator, I'm not sure who it is, and they're actually blocking people. So yeah, I don't know. It's just craziness. Hey, Cynthia, how's it going? Welcome. It was a YouTube glitch. It's been going across the board. Yeah. Yeah, Elias should be allowed back in now, so I don't know what happened. Yeah, it is very weird. Doesn't let us see who's doing it. I know. I don't know who's doing it. But there's 22 people in the chat. I do appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's not okay. It's really aggravates me, but oh, I know. Christine and Sun Ghost Squad, you're good. It's somebody who has a wrench on my channel that's like being secretive. And I just really don't appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just infuriating. But yeah, so I gotta figure out what's going on. But don't think it's a YouTube glitch when I purposely find people that I've thought of as awesome people and part of this community and are respectful in my blog section. It's weird. And this is not the first time. This is now like the 5th or 6th time I've seen this. And I'm just like, come on, really? Who is putting my people in the blog section? Hey, Zach Sanford, how's it going? Yeah. So, anyway, on to better things. Okay, so this story is called The Old Man. The old man lived in an ancient, crumbling house near the sea. His garden was overgrown and neglected, and his house was always surrounded by old, gnarled trees. He was a recluse and rarely ventured outside of his home. No one ever said his name, or no one knew his name or where he had even come from. Those who saw him said he had long black hair and a wrinkly leather face with piercing eyes. Sometimes neighbors would see him hobbling around on a cane. The old man, rumored to be extremely rich and extremely feeble, the rumors that he kept a fortune of gold hidden away somewhere in his dusty abode. Young boys loved to taunt the old man, shouting at him, calling him names whenever they passed the house. Sometimes they would even throw rocks and break the window panes of his dwelling. Occasionally, some of the older kids would steal up to the house and peer through the dusty windows to catch a glimpse of him. One night, one of these criminals decided to rob the old man. They parked their car outside of the house, where they sat in the darkness until the time was right. Their plan was to threaten the old man, make him tell him where his fortune was. If that didn't work, they were going to beat it out of him. One night, on that night, the moon was shining down on the ancient house, with the wind blowing through the branches of the old gnarled trees. And when the lights in the house went off, the two criminals got out of their car and made it into the front door. They put on black masks to cover their face and ring the doorbell. The third criminal sat in his car, waited nervously for his companions to return. He kept checking his watch, wondering what was taking them so long. Just after midnight, he heard hideous screams coming from the ancient house. He hoped they didn't beat the old man to death. But if he died, he couldn't reveal where his hidden treasure was. They would have to search the whole house from top to bottom. It could take all night. Just then he heard footsteps coming down the path, the sound of somebody opening up the lock on the gate, the dim glow of the street lights. He strained his eyes to see, but when he looked, he didn't see what he expected. The next morning, the abandoned car was found outside of the old man's house. The police checked the license plate and discovered they had been stolen, returned to its rightful owner. 3 days later, three unidentified bodies washed up on the beach. Their corpses were horribly and hideously mangled and mutilated. Every single bone in their bodies had been broken and their heads were crushed beyond recognition. The three bodies had been reduced to little more than three rubbery piles of flesh. The discovery of the bodies on the beach caused a lot of excitement in the seaside town. That summer, it was all anybody could talk about. Nobody could figure out what had happened to them all. Still, people passed the old man's house. Very they felt a very involuntary shiver of fear run down their spines. Young boys didn't shout at the old man or call him names anymore. Nobody dared to speak up to him or get near his house, or to look and peer through his windows in fear of what they might see. Hope you guys enjoyed that story. Let's see here. Thank you guys so much for watching the stream. 23 people in the house. We have Kelsey's Paranormal in the house. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Elias, how's it going? Welcome. Hey, what's going on? Kate O'Connor, the fam, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, Elias, hey man, I'm sorry that happened. I hope everything's good. Just know that I did not intentionally try to block you from my channel. Some weird thing is going on where I'm having people in my block section and I don't know who it is. Oh, Kelsey, I knew you were live. I didn't. I thought you were still streaming. Hey, Betty Van Tessel, how's it going? Welcome. If there is anybody new here who is just joining me tonight, please make sure you consider subscribing. I am just 39 away right now from 3,000 subscribers. It's going to be pretty awesome tonight, guys. Let me try to get some more people in here if I can by sharing this stream out. And let's do that. Live. There we go. All right. Thank you so much for everybody that shared this so far. We have Haley's Creative Life. Terry Cope shared this out. We have Tony the Rock Fams, I think. Oh, no, that wasn't Tony the Rock Fams. That was Aussie Tiger Rock Fam. Thank you so much for sharing this out. I really appreciate it. And let me get this copied so I can share this out towards Facebook. All right, there we go. Here we go. And share this out to. Cool. So I shared this out to a couple of people, so hopefully we get some more in here to listen to some scary stories. What do you think of my toxic LOL? Oh, thank you so much, Christine and Sun Ghost Squad. I really appreciate you sharing this out. I'll definitely make sure to go like and retweet everybody's messages. We got Kelsey's Paranormal that just shared this out. Thank you so much. So awesome of everybody. Carol out of her comfort zone just shared this out. Heck yeah, guys. Thank you so much. Let me try to, hey, Love My Dandelion. How's it going? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Had to refresh this live stream. Okay. And thanks for letting me know. Is there any issues or anything like that? Hopefully everything's running okay. Other than this darn chroma cam thing that's having an issue running tonight. I don't know what's going on with it, but I think my internet's working pretty good tonight. I tried a new little configuration to see if it would increase. I have my internet's really high speed. It's just the fact that I'm so far away from the router. I'm eventually gonna have to hardwire a Ethernet and another box here in my studio. So, thank you so much, Zach Sanford. I really appreciate it. Zach, I'm sure you shared this out too, so thank you. If I didn't get everybody's name, just highlight my name and I'll try to get everybody here. Right now we have 27, almost 30 people watching right now, so that's awesome. It's YouTube. I've had to do it many times today. Yeah, YouTube's acting kind of funky. I don't know what's going on. Somebody else said shared. Let me find out who that was. Hey, Toxic, how's it going? Why does that sound make me look for a clown on a bike in the dark? Oh no. I saw somebody said they shared. It was the damn Wi-Fi, right? So, cool. I think we got this all configured to the best of my ability here. This is turning out to be a pretty good stream so far. Should be more. Smash that like button, right? 28 in the house. Heck yeah. All right, so let's... Really? Wow. Yeah, YouTube's funky lately. All right, Dark and Lonely Road. Actually, that's a pretty long story. That's like 14 minutes. Jeez. Goes on and on and on and on and on. This one's called Little Sister. My little sister was only 7 years old when she was killed. We found her laying in dead in a ditch. It was late at night, and the rain was pouring down, washing the blood from her pale skin. Her throat cut, and her eyes were still open as she blankly stared into the sky as the rain beat down on her. The police never found out who really killed her. They buried her in the graveyard not too far from her house. At the funeral, my father held me tightly against his chest. Tears were streaming down my cheeks. My mother would never come in. She was too sick. But then back then we lived together. The lot of us. My mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, my 3 cousins, and my sister and I. Not long after my funeral, my sister came back. I saw her outside my window, scratching at the glass. Her eyes were just hollow sockets, her cheeks were sunken in, and her hair was matted with dirt. Her thin lips drawn back from her teeth with a sickly grin. Every night, she just stood there in the rain, clawing at the window. She silently began to let in. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I opened the window. She crawled inside. She stank of the grave. She was cold to the touch. Deathly cold. She didn't speak. She never said a word. She just crawled up in the corner and watched me sleep. When I woke up in the morning, she would be gone. All that would be left are the muddy footprints on the bathroom floor. One night, she seemed to be telling me something. She pointed to a picture of my uncle. She grabbed my arm. Her fingers felt like ice. I couldn't understand what she was trying to say. Then, all at once, a chill ran down my spine. I realized my uncle was somehow involved in her death and began to grow very frightened of him. After that, things all fell into place. I understood why my sister kept coming back. She wanted revenge. She wanted my uncle to pay for what he had done. One rainy day, my uncle took me to walk on the cliffs. He stopped at the edge and grazed over the sea. The grass was wet and slippery. The moment he turned his back, I knew it was my chance. I gathered all my strength and kicked him in the back. I still remember the expression on his face as he twisted and turned, desperately trying to regain his balance. It was no use. He went over the side. I crawled over the edge to peer over. His body laid on the jagged rocks. His arms and legs were twisted at odd angles. His skull was smashed and his neck was broken. Bright red blood trickled down the stones, and when police came, I pretended to cry. I told them that he had slipped and they had no reason to doubt me. After all, I was just a child. That night, my parents wanted me to sleep in their room. I told them I wanted to be alone. My father was torn about his brother's death. I didn't have the heart to tell him the truth. I waited for my sister, but she didn't come. Before I went to sleep, I opened the door. In the middle of the night, I was woken by a sound of screaming. My sister was kneeling on the floor. She was withering in pain, and her fingernails were scratching at her face. She was a mess. Her face was bloody, and her skin was falling off. "What have you done?" she screamed at me over and over again. I was scared. I couldn't move, and I watched and screamed and sobbed as I saw her tear her own flesh off with her bloody fingers. That must have been when I blacked out. When I woke up, she was gone. I never understood the horrible thing that I had done to my little sister until I went to the graveyard for my uncle's funeral. They buried her right next to her. They buried my uncle right next to her grave. My sister has never come back again. Yep. Hope everybody's enjoying these stories so far. Alrighty. Awesome story, John. Trolls can suck Loose haunted phones. Can you do a live for a Halloween party? I am probably going to be doing a live Halloween special. I don't know where, but Joe and I are going to be planning on something. We're probably not going to talk about locations. Oh, I appreciate that, sharpshooter. All right, guys. Let's find out here. Oh, thank you so much. Kato Connor the fan with the awesome retweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Whew. Oh, thank you, Irish Whiskey, for sharing this out. I really appreciate that, brother. A lot of tweets going out right now. I really appreciate all the love. Oh, Julie Cole, thank you so much for tweeting this out. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, let's find another story. Oh, all right. Hey, City Girl Country Heart, how's it going? Hey, Lisa Dawson, how's it going? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We got the Facebook rolling now, guys. More people are. All right. Terry Cope is going to be making her way over. Oh, no, Terry Cope's already here. Never mind. A lot of people joining us from all over the place. I do appreciate it. We have people from Australia. We have people from the West Coast, from the East Coast. We have, hey, Amanda, how's it going? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Let's find out here. We have 29 people in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, 31 days to Halloween. Yeah, it's coming up close. Wait, 31 days? No, it's not October yet. It's just December. We got about 3 weeks of September left, and then we have a whole month of October. So we're roughly about close to 2 months away. But I cannot wait. But every day on HSFL Paranormal is like Halloween, guys. I'm a total avid horror movie fan. I love the paranormal. I chase ghosts across the desert Southwest. It's a lot of fun, guys. Alrighty, let's find the next story. And this one's called The Girl in the Mirror. When I was just a child, I spent a lot of time alone. My parents lived in an old house, way out on the countryside, and there were no children my age around. Had a little brother, but he was only a baby at the time, so I couldn't play with him. I was always a little lonely. The old country house where I had lived had a lot of small rooms. In the corridors, where there was a closet with a sliding door, where my father would store his tools. I would go live there and play with the tools. It was a lot of fun for me at the time. One day, I found an old mirror at the back of the closet. It was an oval shape, and the bronze frame was very ornate. Even though it was quite old and dusty, the glass was very clear and I could see myself perfectly. One time I was playing in the closet. I opened a I opened to glance at the mirror and I saw something that shocked me. In the reflection, I saw a teenage girl standing behind me. Frightened, I turned around quickly, but there was no one there. Um, I was confused. The little girl was still there. I guess because I was a child, I wasn't scared of her. I thought it was strange that she would only appear in the mirror. The little girl had long black hair and a pale white skin. Through the mirror, she looked at me and laughed. I said with a smile, hello, she said with a smile. We started to talk to each other. The girl told me to call her Nana. We would walk all the time. We would talk all the time. My parents must have wondered why I spent so much time in the closet talking to myself, but they would never take the mirror away from me. It seemed like Nana Chen was not visible to adults. One day I was talking to Nana Chen and I said, I'm lonely. I wish I had some friends to play with. Come over here and play with me, Nana Chen said. Can I go over there? How do I do that? Nana's face became troubled. She lowered her voice. I don't know, she said. I'll ask. I wondered who she was going to ask, but all I could hear was silence, and somehow I felt like whatever it was, it did not want me to listen. The next day, I spoke to Nana Chen and said happily, I know how you can come over here now. Come on, let's play. I wasn't happy, but I remember that my parents had always warned me to tell them before I went anywhere. Okay, I'll ask my mother, I replied. Nana's face became troubled again. Don't tell anybody about this. We might not be able to see each other anymore if you tell somebody. I stayed silent. I didn't want to disobey my parents. Then Nana Chan, you'll have to come play with me, okay? Tomorrow? Do you promise? I said, yeah, I replied reluctantly. I promise. Nana Chan reached out and touched the surface of the mirror with her little fingers. Pinky swear, she said. I reacted and pressed the tip of my finger to the mirror beside her. Pinky swear, and I could feel a slight warmth through the glass. That night, I didn't sleep much. I didn't tell my parents about Nana Chen. As I had laid there in darkness, questions were swirling around my head. How would I enter the room? What kind of place was it over here? Why couldn't Nana come over here? If I went over there, how would I come back over here? I was contemplating such things and I grew more and more anxious. I became a little scared of Nana Chen. The next day, I didn't go see Nana. I avoided her all day after that, and the day after that. I dared not to go into the closet all week. In fact, I never wanted to go into the closet again. The weeks and months passed as I grew older. The months and years passed and I grew up. I left home to go to high school in a town. After I graduated, I started working in a nearby town. I didn't go home much. Eventually, I met a girl and we got married. By that time, I had all but forgotten about Nana. Shortly after we got married, my wife told me she was pregnant. She wanted me to visit her parents for a while. I was all alone in the house, and so sometimes visited my own parents for dinner. They still lived in that same old house. One night we decided to sleep over in my old bedroom. Uh, in the middle of the night, I woke up to use the toilet. I was washing my hands and I happened to glance at the mirror. A sliding door in the middle of the corridor was open. It was a closet I played in as a child. I thought the door had been closed. I went to the toilet. I turned around and was shocked to see that the door was closed after. However, when I looked back at the mirror, the door was still open. A chill went down my spine and my hands began to shake. I saw the door sliding back silently in the darkness. At that moment, I remember Nana Chen. I was overcome by fear, but it was impossible for me to tear my eyes away from the mirror. The door was moving after all. In the mirror's reflection, a white mist floating across the darkness as at the back of the closet. As I stared, it formed into a familiar face. The smiling face of Nana Chen. I think I might have fainted. The next thing I remember, I was waking up on the floor. It was morning and my parents were still in bed. It must have been a dream, I told myself, just a creepy dream. I wasn't comfortable staying at my parents' house, so after breakfast, I went to my own home. My parents had a underground parking lot, so I pulled into my reserved parking space and parked the vehicle. Just as I was about to get out, I glanced in the rearview mirror and took a double take. In the mirror, there was the face of Nana. I looked back into with surprise. No one was in the back seat. I looked in the rearview mirror and she was still there. She was staring at me over my shoulders and our eyes had met. She looked exactly the same, long dark hair, pale skin. With all of that time, nothing had changed. I was trembling and I could not take my eyes off of her. Eventually, Nana laughed. Hello, she said with a smile. I felt like I was going to be sick. Why don't you come back? Why didn't you come back that time? All this time I've been waiting for you. It was silent. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't find the words. He said, come over here and let's play from now on. In the reflection, her hand slowly reached out towards me. Let's play forever, she said. No, it's no good, I screamed. I didn't mean to say it out loud. Nana Chen, I'm sorry. I can't go over there. I won't go. Nana was silent and her hand stopped in midair. Trembling, I grasped the door handle with all my strength. And with the little voice I heard, like the little boy I had long ago. I had a wife now. I'm having a baby soon. I just can't. I ended up at a loss for words with my head in my hands. I was shaking and shivering uncontrollably. I looked in the mirror. Nana Chen was still there. I could see that you had become an adult and you don't want to play with me anymore. Her voice sounded so sad and lonely. I can't. Nana Chen smiled and laughed. Seemed like such an innocent smile at the moment. Really thought Nana Chen would forgive me for breaking our promise. Nana Chen began, but she cut me off. If you won't play with me, I'll just have to find someone else. Someone like you. And then suddenly, before I could even say another word, she was gone. Before I could understand her last words, she was gone. Once and for all, she never appeared to me again. Evening, my wife called me and she had suffered a miscarriage. Our baby was dead. Then I finally understood what she meant. Someone like you. That's a horrible story in just about every single which way. That background is awesome. Oh, I'm so glad that you like the background. Yeah, I designed this a long time ago. I appreciate everybody for joining. Heather's Hauntings, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it, guys. That's so awesome. Mickey XOXO or Mickey XO, what's up? How you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, what's up, Gail B? How's it going? Welcome. Starting in this October, you should do 31 days of Halloween scary stories. That's what I meant. Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Yeah, I designed this. It came as a template, just with the house in the background. I added the moon, and I used to have people's eyes staring out those empty windows, but I took it out. I just thought it looked creepier without it, actually. But yeah, it turned out pretty cool. But it's awesome to have so many people here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. This is pretty sweet. I love when I have a good crowd of people sharing awesome stories with people. And once I get my office done, I'll be doing more lives. Heck yeah. Did you just move, Heather? Oh, thank you, City Girl Country Heart. I really appreciate it. Should be pretty awesome. Oh, nice. That's great, Heather. 30 people in the house. Guys, please share this out. I'm really, really close to 3,000 subscribers. It went down a little bit, and it happens every time I go live. I'm at 2,958. I am just shy right now of 3,000 subscribers. Worked really hard on this channel to put epic content out for you. And I was doing Stephen King last week. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, guys, I'm really close to that 3K mark. If you haven't shared this out, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. I love putting out these videos. I love to get more outreach on these streams. So any support would mean the world if I could try to get to that 3K. It's been a long, long journey, guys. But it's been an awesome journey for sure. I've only had this channel up now for, God, a little over a year. June of last year was when I created this channel, and it's been incredibly amazing experience. And there's been some hard parts and some hard to get investigations and stuff like that. And I've been focusing on growing our team's channel and helping other YouTubers as well. And so and I've been helping with the weather. I've been doing updates. I still have 2 videos in the queue, and I keep meaning to get to them. I need to transfer all the information from one computer to my new one, and then I'll be able to start doing all that again and getting those videos up. But yeah, guys, this is hella awesome that everybody's shared this out. And I just had a video recently hit 2,000 views, so I was very, very proud of that. It's super, super amazing to see everybody here. 29 people in the house. Thank you, Julie Cole. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Zach Sanford. I moved in, haven't finished unpacking. Yeah, I hear you. Got this new vape juice. It's quite the flavor. It's a lemon custard, and I'm still deciding if I like it or not. Thank you, Sharpshooter. I really appreciate it. Oh, Gail B, thank you so much for sharing it on Twitter. All right, let me check Twitter. Oh, thank you so much. Made sure to retweet this. Yep, I've been sharing and retweeting everybody's messages. Really, really appreciate everybody's help and assistance getting the word out that the stream does exist and that we can have fun here on YouTube and have exciting content. I try to make my shows as entertaining as possible. I also like everybody to go talk to each other and get to know each other in the streams. Try to keep everything friendly. My mods are blue for a reason. I trust basically all the people that are blue right now. I trust very, very much with my channel to keep the stream at peace. And I really appreciate everybody coming here tonight and listening to the scary stories. Shared on Twitter, but I have to go to bed. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate you sharing that out on Twitter. That is so kind of you. But yeah, that's awesome. It's so great to have an amazing group of people here. Sharpshooter's the best mod on the planet. I would be super duper lost without you, buddy. Beth Plant, thank you so much for sharing this out on Twitter. I really appreciate it. That's so nice of you. All right, y'all are awesome and doing a great job. Thank you. I really appreciate that, guys. If I miss anybody in the chat, please just say, hey, HSFL, and I will definitely make sure to shout you out in streams while I get the next story ready here. Let's see. Next one is based off of a Japanese horror story. Those are always the scariest, too. Alrighty, you guys, let's get to the next one here. This one is called The Damaged Car. One evening, I was cleaning out my garage when I heard the roar of an engine. A car was speeding through the neighborhood. All of a sudden, there was a screech of tires, followed by a loud thump. I ran out into the streets and realized there had been an accident. A young boy had been hit by a car, his body laying in the gravel. I immediately took out my cell phone and called the ambulance. As I watched in disbelief, a man who had gotten out of and started inspecting the damage to his vehicle. He paid no attention to the injured boy underneath his vehicle. All of a sudden, a young woman came running out of the house, screaming and crying. She was obviously the boy's mother. She ran up to the driver and started shaking him. "What have you done?" she cried. "What have you done to my son?" Her anguished scream sent a chill down my spine. The driver roughly pushed her away and started arguing with her. "It's not my fault," he said. "The boy ran out in front of me. Look what he's done to my car. I'll make you pay for this." "Curse you," the mother screamed. "Curse you. I'll never forgive you for this." The ambulance finally arrived, but there was nothing they could do for the little boy. He was already dead. The police arrived, and they tried to determine who was responsible for the incident, but there was no witnesses. They had to accept the driver's version of the events. He was not charged with any crime and was not allowed to go free. A few days later, the driver sent the small boy a bill for the repairs to his vehicle. The front of the car was dented and the headlight was broken, and when she refused to pay, he took her to court. The grief-stricken woman lost the case. Not only did she have to compensate him for the damages to the car, but she had to pay his legal costs too. A few months later, after the incident, the driver came home from work to find that his wife had disappeared. He called the police and filed a missing persons report, but they had no trace of her, as she had vanished into thin air. A few days later, a few days later, the man's two children also went missing. They had been seen leaving their school but never arrived home. Somewhere along the way, they had mysteriously disappeared. A few weeks later, a dead body of one of the child was found in the dumpster, and when the detectives who were investigating the crime heard about the court case of the little boy, they became suspicious. On a hunch, they questioned the mother of the little boy and obtained a warrant for her house. They were horrified at what they found. In her living room, mother had constructed an altar, decorating the pictures of decorating with the pictures of the dead boys sitting on the altar, with their severed heads of the driver of the missing wife and child. The wife's eyes and mouth had been sewn closed with a string. The police arrested the mother of the little boy. She confessed that she did it because she wanted revenge. She wanted to torture and make him suffer. She said, and she sewed the dead woman's mouth closed so she could not make much noise. She forced a woman to watch as she killed her children right in front of her. And then, when she was done, she murdered the woman as well and cut off her head. She sewed her eyes closed so they couldn't. She sewed the eyes closed because she didn't like the way the dead woman was glaring at her. The woman was found guilty and was given the death penalty and was executed by hanging. All this was all this happened because of a damaged car. Hey, what's up, Ray the fam? How's it going, brother? Hey, what's up, Tony the Rock Fams? Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, Ghost Finder 321? How you doing? Good to see you. Woo! Heck yeah. Looks like everybody's having a good night so far. Yeah, what a crazy story, right? This one is called The Perfect Girl. One summer, a girl moved in the house next door. She lived with her mother. They were quite poor. Her father had abandoned them years before, and she grew up in a new town and found it hard to adjust. Although although we came from different backgrounds, she and I got to be friends. We were not real close friends, but I often visited her house so we could talk. The moment I laid eyes on her, I knew she was the perfect girl for me. Unfortunately, she didn't feel the same way. She was attracted to boys who were handsome and confident. It was clear I wasn't her type. I decided to wait. I She didn't have any friends of her own to talk to, so she confided in me. Mostly, she would complain about her life, telling me how her mother hit her and how the girls in class were mean to her and excluded her. She also told me about a boy she had a crush on. It's very popular with the girls in school. I as I talked to her about her problems, I just sat there and listened. One day, the girl stopped coming to school. It turned out that she was being bullied. She told me that one of the popular girls had found out that she had a crush on her boyfriend. The popular girl and her friends would bully her every time they saw her, and she said they even spread vile rumors about her to her other classmates. They were even making her life a living nightmare. I just kept quiet and listened and vented her problems. Her behavior began to change. after she entered junior high school. Sorry, there was a ads that I keep popping up. Her her behavior began to change, and as she entered junior high, she stayed out until all hours of the night, began to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. I heard rumors she was doing drugs too. She fell in with the bad crowd and even got arrested by the police. I had her home life grew worse and worse as she would frequently quarrel with her mother in the middle of the night. All the girls at school hated her. Someone even sprayed graffiti all over her house, calling her horrible names, saying disgusting things about her. Someone even killed her pet cat and stuffed it through the letterbox. Even eventually, the girl dropped out of school and she became withdrawn and locked herself in the bedroom. She often stopped speaking to her mother and went for days without leaving her room. She rarely even came out to eat. She looked pale and sickly and painfully thin. Her mother was her mother took leaving food outside for her out the door under the door. She would only come out when she needed to use the toilet or in the middle of the night when her mother was asleep. It was a miserable life. I went to see her for the first time in a long time. She refused to come out and see me. Even though I yelled through the keyhole, she refused to answer. Her mother gave me a bowl of soup to take upstairs. I caught a glimpse of I caught a glimpse of her when I walked up the stairs to take it. She was pale, drawn, haggard, and emaciated. She looked like a wet rag that had been wrung out. I went to see her every day, and after a while, she began to talk to me through the door. She told me that she was constantly fighting with her mother, and all of her friends had forgotten about her. She had told me how she had fallen in with the bad crowd and went with them all night, stealing, doing drugs, and getting into trouble. She was even caught shoplifting by the police and now had a criminal record. She told me how her mother tried to help her, but at first she wouldn't listen. Her mother flew into a rage and beat her. Her life had become unbearable. She wanted to die, so she told me she had tried to commit suicide many times by slitting her wrists. Just like the old days, she continued to talk on and just listened. Whenever she asked my opinion, I shrugged and made some in in I don't know. I shrugged or made some remark towards her. As time went on, the girl's mood gradually began to brighten. She decided to come out of the room. She decided things were getting better and her future was looking positive. Her mother broke down in tears and thanked me profusely. Um, One day, the girl went up to the roof of an apartment building of the neighborhood and jumped off. The building wasn't very high and she landed in shrubbery. That's probably what saved her life. Her spinal cord was injured in the fall and she was paralyzed from the neck down. The doctor said she would spend her whole life in the wheelchair. When she got out of the hospital, I went to see her. She was laying in the bed, unable to move. She apologized to me over and over again and couldn't stop crying. She said she wished hadn't survived the fall and told me that she was sorry for the trouble and she had caused me and her mother. I tried to soothe her from crying, but it was hard to comfort somebody when they were laying down. Embraced her awkwardly, and she was weeping so much that her whole body was shaking. She couldn't even wipe her own tears. I held her hands and asked her to marry me. She was like, "Really? Are you serious? Me? Really?" She couldn't believe that anybody would want her. I had to propose to her several times before she would actually really mean it. That I would actually really mean it. She cried so hard her tears ran dry, and I tried to reassure her that I wanted to marry her because I had always loved her. She was the perfect girl for me. She always been. Even when she ignored me, it didn't and didn't return my feelings. even when she was hanging out with the bad crowd, even when I had to listen to all of her stupid problems, even when she became so thin and was hiding in her room, even when the popular girl when she fancied her boyfriend, even when I was spreading, even though I was the one spreading the vile rumors to her about her to her classmates, even though when I sprayed graffiti all over her house, even when I killed her cat and put it through the letterbox of her house, even though that she was laying in bed, small and weak, unable to move. Even now, I still love her. Even now, I see that she's a perfect girl for me, and soon we will be married. Oh, that took a really dark and um, unexpected turn. That was a really, really dark, horrible story in a lot of different ways. Hey, Melgatoy, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Gotta run. All right, have a good night. Julie, much love and light. God, that story was rough. Woo. Good night. Yeah, that was a rough story. It was hard to read that one and be like, gosh, should I keep reading this? But that ending was a real, that was something else. So he was the one trying to do that to make her life miserable enough for him to get married to her. That's screwed up. He killed her cat, and oh my God. That was a screwed up story, I'd have to admit. Thank you guys so much for all the likes. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a sicko story. I did not enjoy that one. All right, on to a better story. Yeah, that was find something better. Ooh, this one is always a good one right here. It's a short story, but it's creepy. One night, a girl was sleeping in her bed when a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for a few minutes on her left cheek. Then it went on its way. When she woke up, she noticed that she was looking at the mirror. Oh, sorry. When she woke up the next morning, she looked at the mirror, noticed a red spot on her cheek. What is this? She asked her mother. It looks like a spider bite. Will it go away? Yeah, just don't scratch it. Soon the red spot grew into a big red boil. Look at it now, it's getting bigger. Sometimes that happens sometimes, her mother said. It's coming to a head. In a few days, the red spot was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Look at it now, it hurts so much, it makes me look ugly. Well, we'll have a doctor look at it, the mother said. Maybe it's infected. But the doctor couldn't see the girl until the next day, so she decided to take a nice, relaxing bath. As she lay and soaked in the warm water, the boil suddenly burst, and out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs that the mother had laid in her cheek. Ooh, that's like stuff of nightmares right there. Sharpshooter, come on, man. Yeah, you lost me on spider. Yeah, oof. That one's nasty. Hey, Sorta Rican, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining. Let's see. Awesome to see everybody tonight, guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome to see everybody here. Just a moist mod god, that's all. Oh, James gets me cracking up, dude. Oh, your name's Jose. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Moist mod god. Yep. All right. So let's see here. All right. Let's find the next story. I am good, feeling deprivation. I hear you. I've been working for darn near a month straight, nonstop, and yeah, a little sleep deprived, but got to make that money. You know what I mean? This next story is another short story called Room for One More. There was a young woman who had just started a new job in a large office building. She was walking one day with her. She was walking to work one day when a long black hearse drove up slowly next to her, matching her pace. She made her nervous. It made her nervous, and she anxiously watched out of the corner of her eye. The driver leaned out the window and called to her in a deep, booming voice. "Do you need a lift?" She turned around to look at him with a terrible shock. The driver's face was incredibly hideous and deformed. His skin was deathly pale, and his eye was noticeably higher than the other one. The man pointed to the rear of the vehicle, which contained a coffin. "Room for one more?" he asked. Frightening in his bizarre appearance, in his unwelcome suggestion, he refused to. She refused to offer. She refused his offer for a lift. Profoundly disturbed, the woman ran down the street until she came to the office building where she had worked. For the rest of the day, he could not stop thinking about the strange man in the hearse, and was glad when the work was finally over. The woman worked up until the ninth floor. When the elevator came, it was completely full. She hesitated for a moment before stepping in. "Are you sure you don't want to come in?" said a familiar booming voice. "There's room for one more." A woman gasped. It was the hearse driver from the morning, eyeing her with his lopsided, horrible gaze. With now thoroughly spooked, the woman backed away, shrugging. "I think I'll take the stairs." The hearse driver stared at her as the doors closed. The woman had only taken a few steps down the stairs when she heard a chorus of screams, followed by a deafening crash. She hurried down the stairs and discovered the elevator cable had broken, and all the passengers aboard had plunged to their grisly death. Oh, sorry. John, do you still do the twerking? No. Well, if I hit 3K, I will. How about that? If I hit 3,000 subscribers, I will twerk live. How about that? The only time I really twerk is if I hit a milestone or if somebody hits 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 on my channel. Yeah, that was a good one. I promise I'll definitely twerk if I hit 3K. Like I think it was your 2K stream. I think so. 3K. All right. Here's another short story. I like these short stories. There was a wealthy farmer who had a beautiful young daughter. He cared for her more than anything on earth. He called her his heart's delight. Many young men came to visit her and asked her hand in marriage, but she wasn't interested in any of them. Then one day she met the boy who worked in the stables and she fell in love with him. The boy came from a poor family and the farmer did not think that he was good enough for his daughter. To keep them apart, he sent the girl to live with her uncle, who had a farm 50 miles away. After the girl left, the boy fell into a deep depression. Thinking to forget all about his lost love, he took a job as a sailor and went out to sea. On the voyage, a young man got sick and gradually wasted away. And when he died, everybody said it was that of a broken heart. When the farmer learned about the boy's fate, he felt so guilty that he could not bring himself to tell the girl the terrible news. Unaware of her lover's sad end, the girl continued to dream about the bright future that they would someday have together. A year passed, and one dark night, a knock on the uncle's door. When the girl opened up the door, she found her lover standing there, holding the reins of a pale horse. Your father asked me to come get you, he said. Is there anything wrong? I asked the girl. You'll see when you get there, he replied. She quickly packed her clothes together and rode off into the night. She sat behind him on the horse and clutched him around his waist. The moon was bright and death was riding on us, he said. Are you not afraid? I'm not afraid because I'm with you. The boy complained of a headache. She put his hand on his forehead. You're cold as clay. I hope you're not ill. The girl tied her handkerchief to his head, and they rode into the night. Before long, they reached the farm. The girl quickly got down off the horse and knocked on the door. Who's there? Her father demanded. It's your daughter. Didn't you send for me? No, I clearly did not, said her father. She turned to her lover, but he was gone, and so was the horse. They went to the stables and found the horse in a cold sweat, trembling with fear, but there was no signs of the boy. Terrified, her father finally broke down and told her the truth about her boyfriend's death. They went to see Jim's parents and decided to open his grave. When they had lifted the coffin and peered in at the corpse, they saw that tied around his head was the girl's handkerchief. Erica Thorpe, how's it going? Jelly Doug in the house. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Awesome to see everybody. Alrighty, you guys. Let's find the next story. This one is called Sunday Morning. It's good to see you too, Jelly Duck. Hope everybody's having a awesome night. Erica, you're welcome. John, thank you for hosting. Oh, no problem. I'm glad to always host an epic stream for the people that are subscribed to my channel. And I like to try to make these streams as interesting as possible. Do we get a special Halloween twerk this year? Well, maybe if I hit 3K, you'll get more than just a special Halloween twerk. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? That's fine. But no, yeah, guys, I like to try to make things as entertaining as possible. I hope everybody is enjoying this. Woohoo! More people watching the video, and it's getting some more attention, which is always awesome. Got this video right now, mind-blowing spirit communication. It's on my homepage. It just hit over 2,000 views, and it's just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. I get more views on that video every day than just about any other video on my channel, which is pretty awesome because that was like one of my first spirit box sessions. It's really cool that that video is getting some attention. Hopefully some other of my videos catch up. But it's pretty sweet, and I'm proud of that video because it was one of the hardest videos to edit when I first started my channel. You can't say those things in front of me, right? Aw, Christine and Sungo Squad, no problem. Yeah, it's definitely an awesome experience. And I love sharing it with all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for the 52 likes. I really appreciate it. Oh, just wait, Mickey. Just playing. All right, so this one is called Sunday Morning. There was a young girl named Josephine who was habitually late for Sunday morning mass at her local church. She always forgot to set her alarm and wouldn't wake up in time. She finally got tired of her parents telling her off and decided she would not be late for mass again. One Sunday morning, Josephine woke up at midnight. Unaware of what had happened, she thought she had overslept again and jumped out of bed. She quickly got dressed and ran out the door without ever looking at the clock. It was dark outside, but it usually was dark that time of year. It was very quiet, and there was nobody else on the street. She could only hear the sound of her own footsteps on the pavement as she hurried to the church. When she heard the church bell ring, she quickly took her pace and made a shortcut through the cemetery. When she got to the church, just as service was about to begin, she found a seat and took a look around. To much surprise, she didn't know anybody. The church was filled with people she had never seen before. They were all staring at her straight ahead, and an eerie silence hung over the gathering. When the priest came out to celebrate Mass, Josephine realized he was a stranger too. The priest told the congregation to pray for the soul of a young woman named Francois, who had died the night before. Josephine was shocked. She knew Francois. She had never even heard that the girl was ill. Something was radically wrong. She began to feel very uneasy. She looked around again, and her eyes began to shift in the dim light. She saw somebody she knew, an old woman sitting in the back of the church. Josephine's heart sank when she remembered that the old woman had died a year before. Looking towards the front of the church, she saw that the people getting up looked very strange. Their skin seemed to be pearly white. One of them turned its head at Josephine and discovered to her horror that it was nothing but a skeleton in a suit. Just a skull and some bones. "This is a mass for the dead," Josephine said. "Everyone here is dead except for me. It's a specter's mass." She noticed some of them were staring at her. Their eyes were filled with anger. It was clear that she had no business there. Suddenly, she felt a tap on her shoulder. Nervously, she turned around to see her grandfather standing behind her. He had been dead for 3 years. He had a worried look on her face. He leaned towards her and whispered, "Leave right now while you still can. You don't belong here." Josephine immediately grabbed her coat and walked towards the door. She heard hollow footsteps echoing behind her and glanced back. The dead were rising out of their seats to follow her. Their faces were twisted in fury and hate. Josephine was terrified, and she dashed towards the door. a pack of shrieking ghosts snapping at her heels. She felt a skeletal hand grab her, trying to stop her from leaving. She was twisted and turned, struggling to free herself from her coat was ripped off and her hat was stretched from her head just as she managed to slip out the door. Screaming and crying almost out of her mind with fear, Josephine ran all the way home and told her what had happened. Later that day, someone came to the house holding what was left of Josephine's coat. They had been found in the cemetery, torn to shreds. Hey, Eric Garcia, how's it going? Welcome. Hey, love my dandelion. I'm so glad that you like that story. Yeah, that's a pretty good one right there. It's one of my favorite stories, actually. Let's see. There was a small village in Ireland that lay at the edge of the large bog. There was a marshy land that stretched as far as the eye could see, with the dotted with the small brushy weeds and the skeletons of tall ragged trees with branches that reached out like long twisted arms. The soggy ground could be dangerous and riddled with many deep bog holes that were filled black with with murky water. The bog were often hidden by clumps of foliage, and it was important to watch your step. If a man could accidentally fall down a bog hole, he would never come up again. It was a fearsome place. If the told are not are tales about it are true, it was before my time. I have heard many strange stories about the bog. It would make your skin crawl. Just listen to them. Every day, the men in the village went into the bog to and toyed for hours, cutting the turf. They loaded it up into wheelbarrows and hauled it home and dried it in the sun. They used turf for fuel, burning it in the fireplace to heat their homes. They were able to also sell it for money. But long after the sun had set, nobody dared venture into the darkness of that desolate bog. In the moonlight, the wind would whistle through the dead branches and the twisted trees. Those who lived nearby would often catch a strange glimpse of strange shapes creeping across the deserted stretch of swamp. There were rumors throughout the village that strange creatures emerged from the bog holes at night. People were so afraid that they refused to leave their homes after dark. There was only one person in the village who did not believe in the creatures, a tall young man named Tom. Everybody knew him as Long Tom. On his way home from work, as the light began to fade, he often whispered to his friends, "There's one," and they would jump and run. The and Tom would laugh and laugh. Finally, his friends turned on him. "If you know so much, then why don't you go into the bog some night and see what happens to you?" "I'll do it," said Long Tom. Sure, I don't work out there every day. Not, sure, I don't work out there every day. Not once have I ever seen anything frighten me. Why would it be any different at night? Tomorrow night, I'll turn on my lantern and walk through the hanging tree in the middle of the bog. If I get scared, I'll run and I'll never make fun of you again. The next night, the men went to Long Tom's house to see him on his way. It was the blackest of nights, and the thick clouds obscured the moon, blocking out the light. When Tom arrived, Tom's mother was pleading him not to go. "I'll be all right. There's nothing to be afraid of. Don't be foolish like the rest." He took his lantern and started singing to himself, heading down the path that led to the bog. Some of the young men wondered if Tom wasn't right. Maybe they were maybe they were afraid of things that did not exist. A few decided to follow him to see for themselves. They stayed far behind him in case he ran into trouble. They were sure to see they were sure they saw dark shapes moving about, but Tom's lantern kept bobbing up and down, and Tom's voice kept floating back to them, and nothing happened. Finally, they caught sight of the willow tree, and Tom was standing in the circle of light, looking out that way, whistling a happy tune. All of a sudden, the wind blew out his lantern. Tom suddenly stopped whistling. The men stood silent in the blackness, and staring into their eyes, they could see and waiting for something awful to happen. When the clouds had shifted and the moon had peeked out again, they caught a glimpse of Long Tom. He was back against the willow trees with his arms out in front of him as he was fighting something off. It seemed like the darkness was alive with slimy, creepy things. Strange shapes were swirling about him, and they could hear long wails and awful moaning sounds. Then the clouds covered the moon again, and it was black as pitch. By now, everybody was on their knees praying for dear life and calling upon the Virgin Mary and all the saints to protect them. When the moon had finally come out again, Tom's face was pale as death. He was desperately hanging onto the willow with one arm. The other arm was stretched out in front of him like something was pulling him. It looked like a disembodied hand with rotten flesh off of old moldy bones that had a tight grip around his arm. Stronger and stronger it pulled until Tom lost his grip and was dragged off into the night. The shrieking like a sowl in hell. That is what men said to have witnessed before Tom was swallowed by the darkness. When the cloud blotted out the moon once before, the man ran through the blackness towards the village. Again and again, they lost the path and fell into the muck, struggling to avoid the deadly bogs. In the end, they crawled back on their hands and knees, but Tom was not with them. In the morning, they searched everywhere for Tom and finally gave him up for lost. That evening, the villagers heard a cry. It was Tom's mother. She had been rushing down the path from the bog, shouting and waving. When the villagers spotted her, she frantically gestured them to follow her. Struggling to overcome their fears, the villagers had ran after her, and they came to a stop. They had found young Long Tom slumped against a willow tree, shaking and gibbering if he had lost his mind. His left arm was raised in the air, pointed, and his wild eyes staring on something only he could see. There, where his right hand should have been, there was nothing more than a bloody stump. It had been clearly ripped off clean. Nobody knew for sure that it had what he had seen. People claimed that he was attacked by the dead, and some others said that it was all talk of the drunken, suspicious fools. The only person who really knew that what happened that night was Tom himself. But he never spoke another word again. He spent his whole life barricaded in his bedroom, shaking and trembling through the long nights. He didn't make it to the end of the year, and they lowered him into his grave. His grieving mother cried out for the people in the churchyard and begged them not to be never go so full-heartedly as to venture into the cursed bog in the middle of the night. So I hope you guys are enjoying these stories. They're pretty creepy. Thank you guys for almost the 100 or almost the 200 views on this stream. I really appreciate it. That's freaking awesome of you. Woohoo. Meeting's over. I'm back. Welcome back, Gina. Party time. Unfortunately, I got to end this stream in about 20 minutes here or less. I got to get to work early in the morning and I can't stay up late. So it was going to be like a 2-hour live, sharing some scary stories and just trying to have fun with you guys. If you want to have this done some other time this week, I can definitely schedule that. But I also do want to do the call-in show and get some other people to share their scariest paranormal stories or just paranormal stories in general. I do have some more videos coming out. I have 2 more to edit with some other locations in the queue. So it's definitely going to happen here soon. And yeah, so it's just the waiting game, guys. And I do have my car now. I just haven't been traveling much. Just been really busy with work, and it's been pretty much nonstop. Yes, thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Thank you for joining us during the day or night or wherever you're from any of the time zones. There's people from all over the world here in the chat, so I do appreciate everybody who has joined here, and seriously appreciate everybody's support. Almost at 3K, guys, getting really down to the wire here with getting to my goal, which is 3K. I would love to hit that by October 1st. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it can. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience so far, guys. 2,959 subscribers. That's freaking awesome. And I really could not have done that without all of you guys. And I owe a huge thank you to everybody here for everybody's continued support, everybody's continued love. And I mean, just amazing people here in the streams. And I never dreamed that I was ever going to get this close to I never thought I was going to get 1,000 subscribers. Now to have almost 3K, that's pretty amazing. You'll hit 3K in no time. You have a great channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, City Girl. I just love YouTube. I like entertaining people. I'm the fun guy, not the mushroom kind, but the fun guy. I like to make things entertaining for people, and only 2.5 months and I'm back home. So hopefully I get to go to David's house. That would be so cool. John, you're the one that keeps us here. Woohoo, I'm doing something right. All right, moist guy. You guys are hilarious. I know, Boomer. It's not all about me because it's all about you, Boomer. No, just playing. No, just playing, man. Well, welcome to Boomer Rock. Thank you so much for joining. And let me get another story rolling here for you guys. Find something good. Never about me, bleh. Bleh. It's always about Boomer. Come on now. No, I'm not doing riddles. No. Okay, here we go. There was a man who loved to eat. Every day he went home at noon to eat lunch with his wife. The man was not a good husband. He was mean, bad tempered, overbearing bully, and his wife was afraid of him. She was shy and timid, and the woman who did everything he asked. If she didn't, he would often beat her. One day, on his way home from lunch, the man stopped at the butcher shop. He bought a pound of liver and gave it to his wife to cook for dinner that night. He had prepared pasta for lunch, so he sat down to eat. While the man ate his lunch, the wife told him that the rich old woman down the street had died and had been brought to the church next door. The man was not interested in what she had to say. He was enjoying his plate of ravioli and washed it down with a nice glass of wine. He did not want to stop eating long enough to tell her to shut up. Finally, he said, "Enough. I got to get back to work." That evening, the wife began to prepare him dinner. She seasoned the liver and cooked it slowly with a pot of vegetables and broth. After a while, she lifted the lid, and the liver looked like it was done. She cut off a small piece and popped it into her mouth. It was so delicious. The flavors of the were so rich and vibrant. She thought it was the best meal she had ever made. She tasted another piece and another and another. It was so good she couldn't stop herself. Before she knew it, the pot was empty. She thought of her husband. Began to panic. He would be coming home soon, and what would he do if he had found out that she had eaten all the liver? He had not. He was not the type of man who would understand. He would be very, very angry, and she remembered the beatings that she had received before. She did not want to face that again, and where could she find another piece of liver that late in the day? Then she remembered the rich old woman who was lying in the church next door, laying in an open coffin, waiting to be buried. After finishing the meal, oh, let's see. After finishing the meal, her husband got up from the table and patted his belly. Oh man, that was so delicious. He had never had a better dinner. The salad had a drizzle of olive oil, just the right amount of garlic and vinegar, fresh garlic bread, and the tastiest, most tender liver he had ever had it melt in his mouth. He asked the wife, "Aren't you going to have some?" She said, "I'm not hungry," she said. "You finish it." That night, when she went to bed, the man had fallen asleep, but his wife was laying in the darkness, unable to close her eyes. All she could think of what she had done. Just then, she heard a voice in the distance. "My liver! Who has my liver?" It sounded like the voice of an old woman. Gradually, it got closer. "I want my liver! It's who has my liver?" The woman listened. Was it just her imagination? Was she dreaming? The cry came again and again. "Give me back my liver! Give it back!" No, I don't have it. I don't have your liver. Now the voice was getting right next to her. "Who has it then? Who wants my liver?" The wife was trembling in fear. She pointed to her husband. "He does." Suddenly, the wife broke into a cold sweat. She was so frightened she could barely breathe. She couldn't stand the strain anymore. She took her husband, and when he woke up, she confessed everything. She told him that she had eaten the liver that he bought. She had told him that she crept into the church next door. She told him that she split up the belly of the corpse and brought it home to cook it. Her description was so vivid that her husband could almost see it happening before his eyes. He grew more and more angry. Then she told him about the ghostly voice that she had heard. The man was terrified of ghosts. I'm the one who ate the liver, he said. That means she'll be coming for me to wreak her vengeance. He got out of bed and went downstairs. His wife sat in the bed wondering what he was going to do. A few moments later, he heard his footsteps coming up the stairs again. He appeared in the doorway. He was holding a knife. She screamed and screamed. Later that night, the husband crept into the church next door. He approached the open coffin and placed a new liver in the belly of the corpse. When he went home, then he went home and climbed into bed. His sleep was never disturbed again, and nobody ever saw his wife ever again. Welcome to Mike Speed. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. What's up? What's going on? And welcome. Awesome to see everybody. Hopefully everybody's enjoying these stories. That one was pretty creepy. Thank you so much for the 22 people still watching. I just realized something. If I ever get urbex in your ghost, my fear of spiders will be cured, or will it kill me? Probably the latter, right? Yeah. So next time you're preparing liver, make sure it's not that of somebody's. It's pretty disgusting. Pretty good story though. 24 people back in the house. What's up, guys? If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Hey, mate, awesome stories. Hey, thank you so much. Exploring with Dave. I really appreciate you joining in and listening. I try to narrate them the best I can. All right, guys. Let's see how much I got. Time for about one more story, guys. So we'll get a good one here. Actually, we might have time for two more. Let's do two more. This one is called The Appointment. There was a 16-year-old boy who got a summer job working on his grandfather's farm. One morning, his grandfather sent him into town on an errand to buy some provisions. The boy drove the pickup truck into town and parked outside the market. He was walking up along the street when he was jostled by somebody in the crowd. When he turned around, he was shocked to see it was the Grim Reaper, Death himself. As he stood there in the marketplace, Death beckoned him. The terrified boy ran back into the pickup truck and drove as fast as he could. When he got there, his face was white and he was trembling. He told his grandfather what happened. Let me take the truck, he begged. I'll go into the city. Death will never be able to find me there. It's the only way I avoid my fate. The grandfather told him that he could have the truck, and the boy floored the accelerator and tore off at high speed. After he had left, the grandfather went into town looking for Death. Eventually found the Grim Reaper standing in the crowd in the marketplace. The grandfather walked up to Death and said, "Why did you frighten my grandson when you saw him this morning? He's just a boy, 16 years of age. He's too young to die." "Sorry about that," said Death. "I was not beckoning to him. I was actually startled, you see. I was very surprised to see him in the marketplace. I had an appointment with him this afternoon in the city." Oh, sorry. I was just startled, you see. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, he had an appointment with him. Something was going to happen in the city, I guess. So, creepy. New drunk emoji. What? All right, so we got one more. We got time for one more story, guys. Let's do this one. This one's 2 minutes long, and this is the last story of the evening, guys. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. Alrighty, you guys. I'm moisture. James Sharpshooter. Perfect. So this one is called Something Was Wrong. One morning, a man found himself walking along a deserted street in a small town. He had no idea what he was doing or how he got there in the first place or where he had been earlier. He didn't even know what time it was. He saw a woman walking towards him and stopped her. "I'm afraid I forgot my watch," he said with a polite smile. "Can you tell me the time?" When the woman saw him, she ran away and screamed. The man was shocked. A few moments later, other people were afraid of him too. Whenever they saw him coming, they flattened themselves against a building and recoiled in horror and ran across the street to stay out of his way. "There must be something wrong with me," said the man. "I better go home as soon as possible." He hailed a taxi. The taxi driver, he hailed a taxi, but when the taxi driver had laid eyes on him, he floored the accelerator all the way. "This is crazy, man," "This is crazy," said the man to himself. He couldn't figure out what was wrong or why, and had no idea what was going on. All he knew is that he was scared and confused. "Maybe my wife can pick me up," he thought. He found a telephone and called home, expecting to hear his wife's sweet voice. A strange voice had answered. "Is this Mrs. Sullivan? Is Miss Sullivan there?" "I'm sorry, she isn't. Her husband just died a few days ago in a horrible crash. She's attending his funeral." So there you go, guys. That was the last story, and I got a couple more minutes. See how you guys are doing. Love your live streams, mate. I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you so much for joining, man. Just around 60 likes on the stream. I really appreciate it. Yep, I love stories, guys. I love After Dark. It's my favorite stream, guys. No problem. I appreciate everybody's time tonight. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their night. I'm going to try to find a channel to go raid their stream if they're live right now. And let me find a good channel to go help. Let's find out who's live. Ooh, okay. I've actually never rated her channel before. So we're gonna go to Country Girl Rock Fam. Let me grab her link here. Hey, Exploring Ginger, how's it going? I was lurking in your background. Oh, awesome. So we're gonna go to Country Girl Rock Fam. She's gonna do a spirit box session with her haunted doll right now. So let's go raid her real quick. And yeah, Country Girl Rock Fam, and I'm gonna just copy her link real quick here, and then if one of my mods can grab her, let's see. And all right, guys, put in hashtag HSFL raid, and I'm posting the link right now. Okay, guys. Just as we end here, go over and say hi, go support her channel. I'm gonna go raid her, and I'll see you guys over there shortly. And I wanna hear her reaction here. So hashtag HSFL raid. Woo. All right, guys.
Hi, Christina. Oh no, I'm getting raided. Thank you, John.
No problem.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Hey, Tammy, in John Stream. Hi, City Girl. Thank you all for coming in.
That's awesome, guys. I'm glad she was taken by surprise a little bit.
I didn't catch that. Well, I have 3 spirits that live with me.
That is awesome. Thank you guys for the raid. Much love and light, guys. And remember to always keep it spooky, my friends. Cheers and have a good night.